All right. So, I had particular feelings about this movie when I saw the trailers. Specifically the first trailer. I was like, right there front and center. Okay. All right. Let's check this out. This should be fun.
So, when it comes to contentious and politically divisive movies, one battle after another might just have taken the top spot for the entire year. Depending on who you talk to, it's either the greatest cinematic triumph of the past 2 decades, on par with Sicario, Gangs of New York, and No Country for Old Men,
Really?
or a pretentious, morally bankrupt Hollywood that glorifies domestic terrorism and is more interested in taking shots at the current administration than crafting a compelling story. And
That's what I've been hearing. I haven't heard any of the good stuff that he just said, depending on who you're talking to. Like, and I follow a lot of different people. I watch both sides. Haven't heard anything great about the movie.
in the middle of this cultural maelstrom is little old me, who's left with the job of setting aside what this movie represents and focusing instead on what it actually is. And I'm sorry to say that what it is a frustrating mixture of superb acting and directing talent desperately trying to elevate a script that doesn't really deserve either.
I didn't doubt that the acting would be good. I tell you that. That's one thing I didn't do.
A movie that's too long, too sluggish, too self-important, and too wrapped up in its own messaging to keep me invested. The kind of film where I struggle to care about any of the characters because there's such a bunch of useless, irritating that I began to wonder who the good guys were even supposed to be. Anyway, unlike this movie, which drags on for nearly 3 excruciating hours,
Lord.
I'm going to try and get this review over with quickly. So on to the plot summary. The movie begins with Pat and Perfidia, and yes, that's apparently her real name.
Right.
Perfidia?
Who are members of a far-left real name. He begins with Pat and Perfidia, and yes, that's apparently her real name.
Okay.
Right.
Never heard that name
Who are
before.
members of a far-left revolutionary terrorist group that are definitely not Antifa, and also lovers. I mean,
It was 3 hours of this? No.
I guess she must have a stunning personality or something, but whatever. Anyway, not Antifa are busy making the world a better place by blowing up government property that'll have to be repaired using taxpayer dollars and terrorizing innocent civilians whose only crime was being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Hands.
See, Drinker's one of the few movie reviewers on YouTube that I trust. I knew he would tell me if it was what everyone thought it was going to be. Good Lord, man.
Are we the baddies?
What lovely people. Things are going just swell until Perfidia runs afoul of Sean Penn, a military officer with a bit of a kink for strong black women, who captures her in the middle of a mission, forcing her to shag her way out of the problem.
Oh no.
People ain't going to like
What
that.
happened?
Unfortunately, this creates a whole...
Is she really... I thought that was a joke pick. Oh my... Listen, Halle Berry caught a whole lot of flack. Now, many of you say, oh, Halle Berry's, she's mixed. She appears to be a black woman, okay? And whether she's mixed or not, and it's depending on who you talk to, you're getting into the whole racial discussion over here, specifically in America. You ever hear the one drop rule? The one drop rule of if you have one drop of blood in you that's black, you're black. Okay? That's from a certain group of people that say that. Okay? We know that people can be a mixture of different races, but often what you appear to be is who you are. You get what I'm saying? You know, so... But what I'm trying to say is that Halle Berry, as a black woman, got in trouble with a lot of black folk for doing what she did in Monsters Ball. Like, I don't know one person that liked that movie. Matter of fact, I will specifically say, I don't know one black person that liked that movie. I watched some dumbass in the comments say, I'm black and I liked it. The point is this. They didn't like that she did what she did that nasty, raunchy love scene and got an Oscar for it, which was so stupid. However, the other thing they were mad about is that they were like, it was like, yo, like you got done, like you got, I want to use certain words, but I just don't know if they'll be like by YouTube. Like basically you got used. You got used in a gutter way by this white man in there. That's how a lot of black people felt, you know. I don't even think I saw the whole movie. I remember watching it just because I heard of all the controversy, but I think I turned it off at one point. Make me feel good. She'll probably get flack for this in this movie. Getting turned out or sleeping with, you know, whatever. But it depends on what the story is. But I know my people, and I know what they don't like, and I know what they like. And I don't think they'll like this.
Whole new problem when she falls pregnant and she's not entirely sure who the father is. I mean, based on how she acts in this film, it could probably be half of Southern California.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Anyway, skip forward a year and Perfidia decides to run out on Pat and her baby to go back to playing Che Guevara, mostly because she's a selfish...
That's another thing that black people don't like. They don't like black women being portrayed as hot to trot. You know what I mean? Like just a 304 throughout. They like, we do not like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a negative stereotype. It's based on a negative stereotype. The majority of our women are not like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like the majority of every race is not bad people. But there's certain stereotypes that are portrayed, and when you play that in a movie, people are like, why did you play that part? You know? So...
arsehole then gets captured and immediately flips on the rest of Not Antifa to save her own arse. What a lovely person. With Sean Penn now hunting down and executing his revolutionary comrades, Pat's forced to go into hiding with his daughter and take on the new name of Bob. Skip forward 16 years and Bob's now a paranoid, drug-addicted loser living with his girl-boss-in-waiting daughter, Willa. Not Willow, mind you. Willa.
That's the same name of the warrior woman tribe, the Amazons, right? Were they Amazons? In Lion-O, in the Thundercats. Her name was Willa.
Sure, whatever. Meanwhile, Sean Penn is a rising star in the US military, and when he's approached to join a secret society of, well, how can I put this, guys who believe that white people are superior, that creates a bit of a problem for him, because if they find out that he fathered a child with Mother of the Year 17 years earlier, it's not going to end well for him. So basically the movie becomes a kind of cat and mouse game where Bob and Willa are forced to go on the run, while Sean Penn hunts them down with all the force of the US government at his disposal.
There's the daughter.
But will father and daughter make it out the other side? Will Sean Penn finally get his comeuppance? And more importantly, will he ever get a decent haircut? Now, don't get me wrong, there are definitely things to praise about this movie, but unfortunately, most of it rests on the superficial aspects of the film. From a directing and cinematography point of view, it's definitely a well put together film. Paul Thomas Anderson isn't exactly a prolific director, but what he does make is generally really good. From quirky, offbeat classics like Boogie Nights and Magnolia, to epic dramas like There Will Be Blood.
I'm noticing something about a particular actress in this movie, and I noticed it a while ago, but I remember speaking with a few people from Hollywood and then hearing some other stuff also online and in different videos where people were saying, like, specifically like in LA or Miami, like the big cities where entertainment is big, it is a thing now where almost all female models are on Anavar. Now, if you don't know what Anavar is a PED! It's a PED! It's performance enhancing drugs! It's my best coach, Greg. It's a performance enhancing drug. It's one that women tend to use the most. Men use it too. But women use it because apparently out of all the drugs, it tends to have the least masculinizing effects. It won't grow hair on your face or deepen your... Well, it can with certain women. It can with certain women. It depends on the dosage. But I've noticed a square jawedness about a lot of models, and a certain level of toneness that I've seen with models and actresses that you just didn't see before. And you see more of a chiseled jaw with them, and the amount of muscle is just like, I've been working out since the mid 90s. I know what it looks like. And, you do have outliers. Like, ain't nothing but peanut. Yeah, buddy. But the outliers are very far and few between. And makes me wonder. That's all I gotta say. Makes me wonder.
And one battle after another is no exception. The action sequences are well choreographed, there's plenty of strong visuals and a definite creative flair during the tense dramatic moments. Performances are strong across the board, which is pretty much what you'd expect when you've got Benicio del Toro, Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn in your movie. DiCaprio delivers his usual intense, laser-focused performance like he's still chasing that Oscar win with every single movie he does. He's got excellent chemistry with his daughter Willa, and although their scenes are kind of few and far between, they're probably the most enjoyable aspect of the movie for me. Sean Penn is the standout though as Colonel Lockjaw. Where the do they get these names from? Can't wait to hear more from his superiors General Scurvy and Admiral Diphtheria. The dude looks like he's on the verge of either exploding with absolute rage or bursting into tears in every single scene, and honestly, I can't quite decide if it's a super committed dramatic performance or just goofy overacting. Either way, well, he commands the attention, that's for sure. The problems really lie in the writing, and one of the biggest issues for me is the pacing. At nearly 3 hours long, this movie soon becomes a slog. It's bloated, sluggish, pretentious, and self-indulgent, and after the second hour, I was genuinely starting to get pissed off, wondering if it was ever going to end. The constant commercials for Indian gambling websites didn't exactly help either. Wait, what? The thing is, I'm perfectly fine with longer movies as long as they satisfy two important conditions. There's enough going on to justify the extra runtime, and the characters are likeable enough to keep me invested in them. And well, one battle after another falls short on both counts. For all the strong performances by a veteran cast, the characters they actually play are such unlikable dickheads that I really didn't care much what happened to any of them. Movies like Four Lions proved that it's possible to show people serving a terrible cause and still make them likable and interesting because there's a strong moral compass underneath it all. I never got that sense with this movie, partly because the ending implies that the cycle of terrorism and retribution is just going to continue on with the next generation, and partly because it's too afraid to engage with the idea that maybe extremism on both sides is a bad thing. Apparently the movie underperformed on its opening weekend, and to be honest, I can kind of see why. Its political messaging and moral framework feel like they've been overtaken by real-life events in recent months, and if I had to take a guess, I'd say that audiences, especially American audiences, are suffering from a kind of culture war fatigue at this point. Yeah. They're getting tired of all this
Bruh, before I even put on this video to do a reaction, I was just thinking of all the controversy around Ghost of Yotei, or Yotai, whichever way you say it. And I was just thinking about just how exhausted I am of all of this propaganda, controversy, garbage over almost every big movie and video game and TV show. It's exhausting. Not to the point to where I'm going to give up and start watching that garbage, but I'm just exhausted. I'm tired of hearing about it,
budget, and the last thing they need is the elites of Hollywood descending from their ivory towers to tell them how they ought to be feeling about the whole thing. Ultimately, one battle after another fell somewhere between the two extremes I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Neither a glorious triumph nor a laughable disaster, but something a bit more mediocre. A slightly long, slightly boring, slightly forgettable, and slightly pretentious film that thinks it's way more profound than it actually is, that wasn't really worth the 3-hour runtime, and that I'll probably never bother to watch or even think about again.
I'm sure.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
So, it's a woke movie that's mid. Absolutely not. That means it's trash. Make sure you get over and follow the Critical Drinker. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you. And if you enjoyed my thoughts on this and reaction, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers. Woo!